Hey guys, welcome back to my studio. Thank you for joining me. This is a continuation on the video I made the other day about the double grid, and what you're looking at now is the first layer of the pattern that I'm doing over top of the grid. So I chose, as I had mentioned, I chose a diamond pattern. We can quickly find the center now. Here in the center, we have all of our diamonds meeting, and the diamonds kind of, if you group them in threes, create hexagons and tile over the whole piece. When I started, I made a mistake. So instead of having the center be an axis like this, I had the center be a hexagon, or was the center of three diamonds creating a hexagon. And the pattern didn't expand outward or fit within the piece the way that I had wanted it to. So I was about halfway through it when I realized that, and so I just undid it and redid it. Fortunately, doing the outside lines is a lot easier than the next step, which will be the inside lines. So we've got a 3-axis grid, and we've patterned it with diamonds. We've tessellated diamonds over the whole surface in a radial pattern. Each diamond is oriented towards one of the sides. So they're basically 3 directions of diamonds, right? We've got diamonds that are in line with the top and bottom edge. We have diamonds that are in line at this diagonal, and we have diamonds that are in line with the other diagonal. So from here, it's really easy for me to do a 3-color pattern and have everything alternate. I can tell you right now, if I decide, it's arbitrary, but let's say I make all the horizontal ones red, all the diagonals this way yellow, and all the diagonals the other direction blue, right? That's my general plan. Of course, there you could think of a million combinations. I could double the number of colors and have them alternating. The first piece I did with diamonds, I did all the primary and secondary colors, so I had a little spectrum going around this star. But the issue with that, as it came to translating across the space, was that you would end up with spaces in between the stars. So if this was all the colors, then in the case of that painting, this hexagon would end up being grayscale, right? And then the spectrum of colors would start here, and this hexagon was grayscale. And I used the grayscale to afford more tones, because I didn't want to add 6 more colors or 3 more colors, depending on how you wanted to approach that. I want to keep things simple. There's a couple things going on in terms of like, why do I want to keep it simple? Because I think of this in a lot of ways as a map. So I talked before about how some of these things you don't understand how they're going to play out until you see them play out. I think there's a way in which the colors are denoting direction in relation to how I'm approaching this particular piece, and a lot of them. It was the same with the trapezoid pattern. And again, it took doing the pieces for me to understand or recognize and see, like, oh yeah, every trapezoid or every diamond that's oriented in this direction ends up being the same color, and that creates this constant uh, alternating pattern. Because what I'm trying to avoid is to have the same color next to itself. So that's the general plan. I was going to talk to you guys also about this idea that color is representative of light and light frequency. And when you're looking at a painting, to think about not the painting as an image, even if it's representational, but to think of the painting as representing light. So we're not painting a ship on the water or whatever the subject might be. We're painting the reflection of the ship on the water. Just like I'm not really here, it's the projection of the light that I'm reflecting that you're experiencing in this video. It's not really me, right? And I think there's so many things that tie into that, and I love the idea that there is nothing solid and that we're all vibrating at a specific frequency. And if you and I aren't vibrating at the same frequency, then you wouldn't even be seeing this video, right? And only things that are resonant to your frequency can come into your field. So all those things are encapsulated in color and light. And so I've gone on a bit of a tangent here. But yeah, the general plan, I want to start with the primary colors. I talked a little bit before about how important the corners are to a piece, and I realized that because of the scale change of the gray grid, that there is the possibility that some of these gray tiles might overlap corners if they were above the tiles that I'm going to do that are tied to the black grid. So you'll notice here that this pattern that I've mapped out is based off of the gray grid, right? And the next layer I'm going to do is going to be based off the black grid. And what motivated that decision, or why I did them in that order, is again because I was concerned that the scale of the gray grid, if I did it last, would lead to overlapping the black grid. Also, because the gray grid is larger, to me it makes more sense to bring the tile work that's based off the black grid to the forefront, because it will be tighter. So it'll be a degree of being finer detail. So I want that at the surface level. What'll also happen as a result is that we're going to get this push-pull where the black grid is definitely in the background, right? The gray grid definitely overlays the black grid. And then the pattern based on the gray grid definitely overlays the black grid. But our final pattern, which is tied to the black grid, will be the top layer and will thereby pull the black grid forward. So you're going to get this tension created by that. And that's something I'm excited about. So I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to do a 3-color pattern for this layer, primary colors. I'm going to do the secondary colors for the next layer, and can't wait to see the result. So thank you for tuning in, and hang with me, and we'll see where this goes. All right.